What would you do if the person you loved most in the world simply never came home? Would you wait a day, a week, a month? In the heart of Tokyo, nearly a century ago, one dog waited, not for days, not for months, but for 9 long years. This is the true story of Hachikō, the dog who became a legend of loyalty, of loss, and of undying love. The year was 1924. Japan stood on the edge of transformation, its streets bustling with the hum of modern life. But nestled in the quieter corners of Shibuya, one man lived a life of peaceful routine. Professor Hachikō Ueno, a scholar of agriculture at the University of Tokyo, was known more for his humble nature than for his achievements. One spring afternoon, he made a decision that would unknowingly carve a place in history. He brought home a puppy, not just any dog, an Akita sent from the snow-covered town of Odate in northern Japan. The pup had soft cream-colored fur, thoughtful, soulful eyes, and a quiet strength. Ueno looked at him and smiled.
Hachikō, he said.
And the name stuck, along with a bond that would never be broken. Hachikō was no ordinary dog. From the very beginning, he was more than a pet. He was a shadow, a silent companion, a loyal soul. Every morning, as the rising sun bathed the streets of Shibuya in gold, Hachikō would quietly trot beside Professor Ueno, his tail gently swaying, his paws padding in rhythm with his master's steps. Together, they walked to Shibuya Station, where the professor boarded his train to the university. And every evening, as twilight settled in, Hachikō would be there again, sitting patiently by the gates. His ears perked, his eyes searching, until there he was, the professor, smiling, returning. Day after day, this simple dance of love repeated itself. Through gentle rain, through howling wind, through thick, falling snow, they were inseparable. They didn't need words. Their bond was built in silence, in quiet steps, daily devotion, and a trust that ran deeper than language. May 21st, 1925. It began like every other morning. Hachikō trotted beside his master to Shibuya Station, his tail gently swaying, eyes bright with routine joy. At the platform, Professor Ueno paused. He leaned down, gave Hachikō one last gentle pat on the head, and smiled. Just a small smile. The kind you give when you know you'll see someone again soon.
He turned,
stepped onto the train, and was gone. But that day, he didn't come home. At the university, without warning, Ueno collapsed, struck by a sudden brain hemorrhage. There were no final words. No last look. He died, without a chance to say goodbye. That evening, Hachikō returned to Shibuya Station. He sat in his usual spot, ears alert, eyes fixed on the platform. The trains came and went. People rushed by, but Hachikō stayed. Long after the final train had left, long after the last footstep faded into silence, he waited. No one came. But the next morning he was there again, and again the next day, and the next. At first, people thought he was lost, astray, but soon they began to understand. He wasn't lost at all. He was waiting. Waiting for someone who would never come home. Days turned into months. months into years. And still, Hachikō waited. Not everyone understood. Some mocked him. Others threw stones, laughing at the dog who came to the station every day. But others quietly began to care. A few station workers started bringing him scraps of food. Vendors offered shelter from the rain. Children brushed the dust from his fur. They didn't know his full story, but they saw the sorrow in his eyes and the hope that never left. Then one day, a man stepped onto the platform and froze. Kobayashi, a former student of Professor Ueno, recognized the dog. He asked around, listened to the whispers, watched the waiting, and he was moved. He began writing about Hachikō, his loyalty, his silence, his patience. And in 1932, one of those articles was published in a national newspaper. The story of the dog who waited captured hearts across the country. Within days, Japan fell in love with Hachikō. Hachikō's story spread far and wide. Across Japan, he became more than a dog. He became a symbol. A living reminder of loyalty, devotion, and silent love. School children came to see him, eyes wide with wonder. Families brought him food, as if offering thanks. Poets wrote verses in his honor. Songwriters composed melodies inspired by his vigil. And then, in 1934, something remarkable happened. A bronze statue was commissioned, not in a museum, not in a park, but right there at Shibuya Station, the very place where Hachikō waited every day. On the day of the unveiling, the crowd fell silent. Reporters held cameras. Children clutched their parents' hands. And beside the newly revealed statue sat Hachikō himself. His face older now, his body thin and tired, but his eyes still waiting. It was as if he were saying, "I'll wait here until the end." March 8, 1935. 9 years had passed since Professor Ueno's final train ride. That morning, the city stirred like any other. But near the familiar stone bench at Shibuya Station, a figure lay still. Hachikō was gone. He had grown old, his once strong body now frail, his fur weathered by time and seasons and sorrow, thin, tired, but his eyes. His eyes still faced the tracks, as if, even in his final breath, he was still waiting. Waiting for the man who would never return. Waiting for the only goodbye he never received. Today, Hachikō's statue still stands tall in Shibuya, a beloved landmark, visited by millions every year. His story has traveled far beyond Japan, inspiring films, books, and countless hearts across the world. But more than that, Hachikō teaches us something deeper, something we often forget. That love doesn't always need words. It waits. It remembers. It endures. Through time, through loss, and beyond goodbye. Hachikō didn't just wait for his master. He waited for us, to learn what it means to be loyal, to truly love, and to remember those who never come home. Speech Balloon, tell us in the comments. Have you ever loved someone so much that you'd wait forever? Round Pushpin, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Where forgotten stories find a voice.